Hi everyone. I thought I'd come and share a video today because I've just read a quote that really kind of deeply resonated with me. And maybe it will with you. It just felt a really important message. So I'm going to read this out to you and then kind of take a look at it and see what you think. So the quote goes like this: "We cannot force someone to hear a message they're not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed." And I couldn't find who wrote that, so whoever it was, I'm hugely grateful. So what did I hear in that I felt was really important for me to share with you? And that is that certainly as parents, we can be so desperate for our loved one, our son or our daughter, or whoever it is that we're caring for. We can feel so desperate for them to hear a different message to the one that they're getting from their eating disorder, that we ourselves get caught up in trying to force this message into them. All right? And I mean, it's the same message really as you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? But this idea of if they're not ready to hear it, to receive it, then they're not going to, because they are tuned into a very different radio station right now, one that is, 24 hours a day. It's the radio station of the eating disorder. And maybe it's not 24 hours a day, but it's close on that. So we can be, and that can lead us to a feeling of desperation as well, and fear and hopelessness and all of that, which is what I went through when Bea was ill. And I would try everything to make her receive a different message. But of course, that's the whole point, isn't it? That we can't make them receive anything because they're their own person. And sometimes the more we kind of insist, the more we are coming across in that kind of desperate way, then the more they're likely to tune out of any possibility of listening to us. And this is really hard for us as parents. I get that. It's really hard for us. But what I love about the second half of that quote, which was, "Never underestimate the power of planting a seed," that's very different to the kind of trying to force them to hear something. And I hope that the message that Bea and I share comes from that place of never underestimating the power of planting a seed. Because you see, if Bea had been in a different place, she may well never have heard the words that our friend Mary said to her, which was around her blacklist. She may not have heard the words that Mary said, which was, "You do know that's made up, don't you?" Okay, she could have been in a very different place. And yet she was ready to hear that. And in her hearing that message, everything shifted for her. So it's seeing the difference between planting a seed and trying to force them to hear something different. Can you feel the difference in that? And for me, you see, what I see is that in planting a seed, well, it's like, think of this in the spring, where you're planting seeds and not all of them are going to germinate, right? Some, and I mean, this goes back to a parable in the Bible, that we plant the seeds and some will germinate and some won't. And it's not up to us which ones germinate. That's up to the soil. All right? So if we can, and I guess it's seeing that there's no expectation there. Sure, it'd be lovely if all of those seeds germinated, particularly if they're your favourite vegetable or your favourite flower. But it's the planting of the seed that's the important bit there. And so I guess it's asking ourselves, how can we make, continuing along the metaphor of planting seeds, how can we make the soil as fertile as possible? And I wonder whether there's something in this that you can see around seeing who they are behind the eating disorder. Seeing, as we often talk about, seeing behind the mask. Seeing that the eating disorder isn't who they are, it's just somewhere they are right now. Somewhere lost in the fog. So how might you speak differently to them? How might you show up differently if you truly saw that there is a state of well-being behind the behaviours of the eating disorder? Now, I get that this can feel really difficult to try and comprehend, but again, maybe not trying to intellectually think about it, but just feel it. What if you sat for a while and saw who they are behind the eating disorder? And that might feel really painful for you because that's not where they are right now. But this idea of planting a seed, no expectations. What if you looked in that direction rather than the need for them to see something different? I'd love to know what you see in that. If you found that helpful in any way at all, do let me know. And as always, I'm more than happy to have a conversation if you'd find it helpful. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.